Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and once more, thank you for joining us on another edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. Of course, it is our pleasure having you again once more. In today's edition, we'll be talking issues related to football saga, and of course, we are having a political observer here with us in the studio. I'm talking of Derek Ngalim. As being a political observer, we've had him several times, of course, as a Pan-Africanist as well. He has a good eye, or a critical eye, when it comes to look into issues occurring in Cameroon, in Africa, and the entire world in general. He'll be accompanied by Mange Venashus. Good evening to you, Derek, and thank you very much for being part of us again.
Good evening, Vanessa, and thanks for always inviting.
Mange Venashus, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Vanessa, and good evening to our viewers. Vanessa, if you permit me, as usual,
you have the go ahead.
Yes, I would want to say, thumbs up for one of us. I say us, Cameroonian. There's one Cameroonian who is gradually installed completely in Nigeria because he is engaged in serious farming. He's called Mr. Langwa Bresnev. Of recent, about 2 days ago, he was visited by the governor of his state, who came to see how his farms are doing. Okay. So I think that there's a good initiative that a Cameroonian who has decided to do that in Nigeria is the cooperation that we need between these two countries. And remember, Brezhnev is married to a Nigerian, so I always refer to him as
and he's been recognized by the state.
Of course, when he has a visit, has a governor visiting his farm, it means he has a legal backing of the activities he's doing, because he's actually impacting lives, cultivating what people of the same locality did not even believe that they could cultivate. Things like tomatoes, things like cucumbers, all those things, they never knew that they could grow there, and Brezhnev is breaking bounds. Probably
he's raising the flags of Cameroon.
Of Cameroon, because he remains a Cameroonian, as we always say.
Exactly. Let us take the first part of the show. Once more, you're welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Viewpoint is being broadcast at 6:30 p.m. In our first question, Fecafoot and LFPC saga, any justification for the loggerheads? Derek, do you think there is any? Yes or no?
No.
No justification. Mange Venashus.
Yes, there is. There is some justification.
There is. And are these institutions beyond government control, Derek?
They are not.
They are not beyond. Mange Venashus, what do you think about it?
They are not, Vanessa.
They are not. So
to a lesser extent,
no.
Like sitting on the fence.
To a lesser extent.
Yes.
So
they are not to a lesser extent.
Let us take the second part of the show, the debate. Fecafoot, LFPC saga, any justification for the loggerheads, perhaps as to who is eligible or legal to organize the divisional tournament? And Derek, you think that no, there is no justification for this loggerhead?
I still insist that there is no justification for the saga, because like the Englishman says, what is sauce for the goose should be sauce for the gander. And I'll not see why you crucify the goose tomorrow for something that the gander did today and you did nothing about it. It is happening, it is still happening, and it will continue to happen. You know the kind of country where we find ourselves, where someone only speaks out when it favors him. And I will not see a reason why they should concentrate on a particular point, saying someone has passed the age at which he is supposed to arbitrate in a certain department, whereas we have people who have gone beyond even the normal human lifespan, and they are still in active service. I would say the bone of contention, if I got the problem right, is the fact that in 2019, August of 2019, Fecafoot suspended the activities of the Professional Football League of Cameroon. And you know what that implies? The direct consequence implies the suspension of the committee that organizes the professional league itself. And once you do that, the direct implication is the fact that there will be no professional league. And it spells doom not just for the league itself, it spells doom for the image of the country, it spells doom for the profession of some Cameroonians. There are some of these youths who have dedicated their lives entirely to football as an activity, a life, a bread-winning activity. And if the body that is supposed to see to it that this league continues to progress is suspended for flimsy reasons, I would call them, it means we have no regard for the lives of thousands of young Cameroonians who have dedicated themselves to sports as a means of survival. Look, they say l'impossible n'est pas camerounais. I would say it is true in this case, because if the suspension were to stand as the conclusion of FECAFOOT is, therefore the president of the
professional league,
it's suspended, right? But now, the fact that the suspension is not for the interest of the country, but for the interest of certain individuals who stand to benefit if this league continues to hold, they have to create a transitory technical committee to organize activities to function for a body that has been suspended. I don't understand how you suspend an entire
body,
and then you bring forth a committee to organize activities of that body which is under suspension, and their functioning is supposed to be official. So the fact that they suspend LFPC entirely, the president cannot accept it, and the reasons are obvious. They say he has gone his way beyond the age at which he is supposed to function as president of LFPC, right? And he is of the opinion that FECAFOOT in itself has no powers. They have no authority to modify the statutes of LFPC, and they have no powers to suspend LFPC activities. And that is why he doesn't waste his time to pull the FECAFOOT body to the National Olympic Chamber, right? With the hope that they are going to do what the law is supposed to do in such a situation. And since the National Olympic Chamber, I don't know if I should say, they want to play the Cameroonian way, he bypasses them again, and he carries his case to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. They abbreviate it as the CAS, right? And it is thanks to the fact that the single man, the single powerful man of the CAS, the single lawyer,
the TAS, TAS, I think so.
Yes, in English is the Court of Arbitration for Sports. That's why I called it the CAS. And luckily for Semengi, from military general to sports governing man, the single strong man of CAS, I mean, he concludes in his favor. He brings out a judgment which orders FECAFOOT to bring back LFPC to its rights. And on the 24th of September, they had no choice than the fact that the executive committee, the ESCO of FECAFOOT, should call for a general assembly in which General Pierre Semengi himself was present. They brought out some resolutions which permitted General Semengi to go back to office and complete his mandate, which was supposed to end in 2021, and LFPC was to take on its activity, since the committee that was set up to run LFPC after suspension by Fecafoot was supposed to work for 2 years.
All right.
But still with that, Semengi is not happy, and then the Minister for Sports and Physical Education, Narcisse Moile, has to come in to see to it that he imposes the judgment of the Court of
Arbitration for Sports. Thank you very much, Derek, for your contribution. Mangefena Shuso, this saga between board heads of the Cameroon Football Federation and the Cameroon Professional Football League, you think that there is a justification. So what justifies this loggerheads or this wrangle or tussle between both parties?
Vanessa, what justifies the loggerheads is simply greed. It is greed that is at that point. There is nothing. I don't think that those who are involved in the sports, in the sports department in this country, will tell us that it is the love for service. It is the love to save Cameroon that is pushing them to go this far. When Mr. Ngalimbo was speaking, he said something about the image of Cameroon. I wanted us just to look at the image of Cameroon, which I tend to ask those of them who are involved in this. I call it a scandal, because when you talk about the image, it's a big scandal. Do they really understand the implication of what they are dragging themselves into? If it is love for the service of Cameroon, and I come in there, they say, no, you are not supposed to be there. He is also rendering the same services. I allow him continue his services. It is what is pushing them to continue. The other person says, I am the person at right. Is greed, selfishness, self-centeredness, self-interest that is at play. There is nothing, again, there is nothing we can say as if they love Cameroon more than Cameroonians. That's a lie. They love their stomachs more than the football they want to, to tell the world that they are promoting. I don't understand. If you look at the functioning of the LFPC, you see that it is a body that is supposed to organize local championship in Cameroon. We will talk about local championship.
The second division championship.
Of course. We will talk about local championship in Cameroon. We are drifting towards, remember in 2021, January, February, Cameroon is supposed to, as of now, until otherwise, host the Shan 2021. Now, those who are organizing this Shan 2021 are supposed to be those who participated in the local championship. Because from the local championship, we have a representative from the country that represents Africa or that represents Cameroon at continental level. These are they are supposed now to come up with the team that is supposed to play. Now, what is happening is, once Cameroon is not able to bury their differences, or this Cameroonian, those who are concerned with football, they are not able to bury their differences, Cameroon run the risk of undergoing a sanction. And once Cameroon is suspended, the conclusions are automatic. Conclusions simple. Cameroon will no longer host the 2021 Shan. And it would extend, because the suspension cannot be a matter of months. It will also extend to 2022 when they are supposed to host the AFCON. So what they are driving Cameroon towards is seeing another ugly situation that occurred in 2019 to come back in 2021 and 2022, because we run the risk of missing the opportunity to host these two continental competitions, because some people have decided, because they think that there are more Cameroonians than others. Mr. Ngalimbo was talking about age. I don't think there's anything like age in Cameroon when it comes to holding an office. Age. When Semengi was elected, they knew his mandate of office. They knew for how long his mandate was supposed to. They knew his age. Did the age issue have to come in after his election? He was elected and he knew his age. I don't see why they could just come up now and tag his age as being an impediment. Besides that, we know that when it comes to sport, every other thing happening within the sporting sphere or sporting sector in Cameroon, they fall under the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education. I don't understand in Cameroon where we say that an individual who is supposed to be an inferior, to a minister who rules everything about sports in Cameroon. The minister gives a verdict, and because you think that you are the president of Fecafoot, you can contradict the minister. Who is who in this country? Who is the boss now? Is the boss Fecafoot bossing on the ministry, or the ministry bossing on Fecafoot? Because I think that the ministry has the right to decide what should be the activities of Fecafoot. Vanessa, we are talking about the image of Cameroon. I think that when we have to posit acts, we must think first, how will this act, affect the image of Cameroon. You know, this issue, Fecafoot, Ministry of Football, Ministry of Sports and Physical Education in Cameroon has always been a point of, you know, they have always been at loggerheads. Oh, so much so that Cameroon has suffered this thing called normalization committee 2 times, 3 times. You get somebody ruling for close to 3-4 years, and it comes out to be that no, it was illegal, he was not supposed. The question we tend to ask is, what do we do with them? Because they're tarnishing the image of this country. You know, when they talk of Cameroon, you feel ashamed. Rather than that country that we used to be proud of when we talk of Roger Milla, when we talk of Etofis, you know, we talk of Mboma, we were feeling proud. But then when you talk of Cameroon, everybody want to hide their head because it is that country that could not host the African National Cup because they could not prepare the stadium in time. It is that country that the Sports Federation is not able to settle their differences, and they have to go to an international organization like the CAS that would decide and say that no, this is what it was supposed to be. And then we in Cameroon, we prove because we are very intelligent. No, we say no, we don't take to your decision. We want to impose our own. What is the agenda of that our own decision? Is it because we want to save Cameroonians? No. That's why I said their actions are justified because it is simply greed, simply self-centeredness. Because they just think that everything should be us. Everything should be under our sphere. And there are some Cameroonians who believe that they have super-infused knowledge, super-infused know-how when it comes to management of state issues. Because I don't understand how the minister should tell you do this, you refuse. The CAS should tell you do this, you refuse, and you think that you are the one who's having a monopoly of what is right. So I think that in Cameroon, it's high time those who have a say called these guys and brought them to order, because we are gradually going towards a very ugly, you know, a very ugly event that Cameroonians will. I don't think they will be able to pardon them again, because some people did it. It happened. Nothing happened. Now they are going in with theirs. That's why I think that, and that's why I said their justification, their simple justification, is not because they love Cameroon. It's not because they want to save Cameroon. No, it is because they feel that we should. When I say we, it is we, our clique, our faction should be that should be able to rule things. And Vanessa, I think that it's also high time we should tend to. There is this thing of, you know, like making public offices, making public, you know, organizations or associations like this Fecafoot to become family kind of issues, because the president of Fecafoot, the father was once or has been once in that office.
Mangavena shows this point. You bring it when we get to take your second point. Let us get the viewpoint of Derek Kalim. Are these institutions beyond government control? Derek, you think that no, they are not beyond government control. So, in the face of all this, why is that the government have been so silent, despite the fact that the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education came in to rule out that no, LFPC is a right to host or to organize probably the second division championship?
These organizations are not supposed to be beyond government control because they fall under government jurisdiction, and it's just a question of conspiracy. Let me put it that way. In Cameroon, people always want to steal laureates. They want to be announced as the ones who successfully organized events, even events that are beyond their scope. The time for these various international competitions are coming closer, and when certain fellows turn around and discover that it's going to fall within this man's mandate, they will want to maneuver a situation where later on they will say, it happened during my mandate. I did it successfully. And if it is not surprising to me that the government seems to make it seem like it is beyond their control. It is not surprising, because it's a kind of situation that has always taken place in our country. It's unfortunate, but I'm even surprised. Probably they're accepting the ruling of Pascal Pichona of CAS simply because he is not maybe Cameroonian, or it's an international kind of situation. But if in our country there was that clear-cut distinction between the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, and the powers that be could act without external influence, there would be no situation like one organization seems to exert more power than it is supposed to exert.
So could we say the head of Fekafoto undermined the decision of the Minister of Sport and Physical Education?
That is exactly what it is. Because normally when the minister speaks, it's supposed to be an end. It's supposed to be an end. But you look at the debates that come in left and right, and the right people who are supposed to say things at times, they sit quietly as if nothing is going on and simply coming in the final analysis to try to save face. But these organizations, like I say, if our government was organized in the proper manner, they are not supposed to be beyond the control of
the government.
All
right. Mangavena Shoes, you think that they are not, or they are beyond government control to a lesser extent? Derek just talked of a conspiracy, and what are some of those things that make you think that they are not actually beyond government control?
Because the noise is going on, and nothing is happening. That is why I feel that the government, it seems to be beyond government handling. Because Vanessa, I think that all of us have families, and when you have a dispute in your family between you and your wife, or you and your husband, you and your children, and you have to call a third party, it is a clear sign to say that we were unable to handle this case. And if a third party comes in and tells and takes side to say no, this is where it was supposed to be, and either you the father, the wife, or you the husband, or you the child, you still remain adamant to your initial position, it means you never had a good faith in solving the situation. You wanted it to remain that way because you wanted that it should be your own, point of view that should be taken into consideration. I don't understand how we could have dispute in Cameroon, and then instead of the minister first, who is supposed to be, the supreme when it comes to anything sports in Cameroon, the minister takes his decision, and you refuse and goes ahead and take your own decision until it reaches the international level. I was saying that it is high time people in this country are brought to face the consequences of their act. Let us not just allow things that this is happening. That is the beginning of deterioration that Cameroon is going through. If we are talking about corruption and bribery, it was because the first person, corrupted, nothing happened. The second, the third, nothing happened, and it became a normal. Mr. Nkalimi was talking about conspiracy. The simple reason is just the fact that I have somebody who is up there, who holds my back, and because he is up there, I do what I want down here. Because when it will go up there, since he is I am his protege. I don't know how they call
godfather.
He's my god, correct. When it will go up there, he will know how to neutralize it, and then nothing will happen. And that's how it has been going. Because if something were to happen, it would have started happening from 2019, when the African Nations Cup was not hosted in Cameroon. It was because there was somebody up there who could decide to say something or not to say something, and it did not happen. That is why people could come out broadly. Vanessa was scandalized when somebody stood out broad daylight and said they bought a bag of cement in Cameroon for 16,000 francs to build sporting infrastructure. Even buying it at that 16,000 francs, even importing sand from out of Cameroon, sand that is here all over Cameroon, even buying raw material, even importing human labor from outside, it came, we could not even succeed in 2019. And nothing happened because somebody had somebody up there. It is that conspiracy that has continued to drag Cameroon to where we are. I said they seem to be beyond government control to a lesser extent. Now, to another extent, they are not. They are not beyond government control. That's why I was saying that I think that people should be brought to face the consequences of their action. If you take an action, be ready to justify it. Be ready to suffer for it or to accept the applause for it. Because in Cameroon, we just feel that once you are appointed in an office, it's like, you are the all and all. There was nobody again who could occupy that position in Cameroon. Remember, I started saying that it's high time we tend to believe that I'm a journalist today, that my son must be a journalist. Is wrong. It is the fact that I'm a journalist, it must not mean my child should operate in the media field. No. That's what is happening in Cameroon. Because your father was a minister, you will likely become a minister. Because your father was involved in football, you will likely become something in football. It's wrong. The aptitude of your father, you don't necessarily have them. Your father may be of a different temperament. Your father may be of a different formation. Your father may be of a different kind of, you know, behavior.
And not everybody has that leadership skill.
In fact, not everybody has it. So I think that in Cameroon, because my father was this, I should not necessarily follow it. This is what I say, that they are not beyond. The minister can decide to say that I have suspended Fecafoot. Vanessa, it almost happened in Nigeria when, because there is this football kind of authority that they think that they command. Every football national team, any national team or any football association belongs to a country. And FIFA, or the World Governing Football Organization, is not above those countries. They are not at all. They are simply international organizations. And if the government can decide and say that we are suspending Fecafoot completely, Cameroon can suffer the consequences. And nothing will happen. And I'm even of that opinion that we should suffer the consequences like that to rebuild Cameroon sports, if not Cameroon football, from zero. Because we have relied so much on past glories to a point where, if we are not careful, we may not even be able to go an inch from here. So I think that it is high time the government decides to say that Fecafoot, we can control you. There is no organization, no association in Cameroon that is above the Cameroon government. If not, then you are no longer in Cameroon. Anything in Cameroon is under the Cameroon government, and they have all the rights to control it, to put an end to this saga, the saga that is tarnishing the image of this country, Vanessa.
Thank you very much, Manga Venashis, for your contribution. Derek, a take-home message?
As a take-home message, the only thing I would say is, in our country, we need to understand that even if you are a foreign organization or a local organization, there is one thing that you cannot presume to do. You must comply with the rules and regulations on ground. The government in every country has a right to control any organization. Even if FIFA were to come settle in Cameroon, FIFA will have to comply with the laws of the Cameroon state. And therefore, this issue of saying that an organization like Fecafoot and whatsoever is above government law is simply far-fetched. So I'll really just say Cameroonians should learn to act for love of Cameroon than for love of their pockets. It's true we failed probably in the events we're supposed to organize, but the pocket filling activity does not fail.
It doesn't fail. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Derek, for your contribution. It has been a pleasure having you.
The pleasure is mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to terms with today's edition. Thank you very much for watching. See you tomorrow. Stay tuned to DBS Television. Coming up at 8 p.m., you'll be having the Primetime Newscast with Fatima Rich. Ewane. Goodbye.